In last week's episode, we had rain. In this week's episode, we still have rain. But we also have a plague of insects in Jeffrey City. Here's Carol to tell us about the day's route.
Headed to Jeffrey City today, about 60 miles.
Yeah.
Apparently there's one big climb. And so far the weather looks good, so we're hoping to beat the rain today. Wish us luck.
The weather was good that morning, with puffy clouds as we headed out of Lander on mostly flat roads with a good shoulder. We were on a plethora of historical routes, which usually indicates that this was the easiest way to get across someplace. Soon, the country got a little more rolling, with hills that were just long enough to make you work to get up the next one. The shoulder was still good, but the expansion joints made for a less than pleasant passage. About 25 miles in, we began a tough 6-mile climb up to the plateau. Carol got there first, but found that there was no shade, as usual. Eventually, I made it up there too, and we passed through Sweetwater Junction.
What's your name? The place you wanted to go?
Sweetwater. Brett McBain's farm.
McBain? Yeah, sure. That stubborn, red-headed Irishman tilling sand for years way out there in the middle of nowhere. Sweetwater. Only a loony like him could call that stinking piece of desert Sweetwater. Sweetwater.
There was a slight downhill for about 20 miles, but it was so rolling and went right into a headwind. When we finally got to Jeffrey City, we were whipped. Jeffrey City actually has a hotel, but it's not much, and the only restaurant in town isn't much either. The most impressive thing about the town were the huge gnats that attacked us anytime we went outside. So that's all I've got to say about Jeffrey City. The next morning we started early again, mostly because there was no place for breakfast. We fought a crosswind on Highway 287 until we got to the intersection with Highway 220 at Muddy Gap. After stopping for a meal of convenience store stuff, chatting with the clerk, and checking out the interesting graffiti in the bathroom, we headed back on the road, which turned more southerly and straight into the wind. With no other stores or towns on this road, we just took regular breaks to sit in the shade of our bikes and try to rest. The road here was also kind of a mixed bag, with some parts horrible and other parts lovely. We even saw a few cyclists just out riding and having fun and not carrying luggage.
Enjoy your ride.
Other than them and the people in cars, the only other life forms we saw had 4 legs. Carol was singing, "Give me a home where the buffalo roam, and the deer and the antelope play," when an antelope ran almost right out into the road in front of me. Later, we had a couple of them running alongside us and a fence until they found a hole in the fence and managed to get through. About 10 miles from Rawlins, we crossed the Continental Divide again. From there, it was mostly downhill, so we hustled into town ahead of a thunderstorm and feasted at a Pizza Hut across from our hotel. The owner of the hotel even let us use the hotel's washer and dryer. Rawlins rocked. In the morning, after a bit of breakfast, we took side roads through Sinclair, famous for its gas, and then got on I-80. We had been worried about spending 13 miles on the shoulder of an interstate highway, but found that it was fairly clean and plenty wide. In addition, almost every vehicle that passed us, be it minivan or semi, moved into the far lane as they went by. I just wish the vehicles had been as accommodating on all of our other roads. We got off the highway at Walcott and, after a quick break at the truck stop there, headed south on Highway 130. The shoulder here was wide, but the pavement not as nice as the interstate, nor was the road as flat.
See it stop.
Soon, the shoulder turned a little less good. We got to Saratoga just in time for lunch and stopped at Hugus and Company, eating on their deck overlooking the North Platte River. After days of making do with junk from a convenience store, it felt great to slow down and enjoy good food on a lovely afternoon. Unfortunately, while we were resting up, storms had been blowing in directly out of the south. Since we were going south, all we could do was just focus, keep our heads down, and keep pushing the pedals. We arrived in Encampment along with a lot of cars, about the time that the rain started spitting at us. Our lovely bed and breakfast was just a few turns away. At the B&B, Carol found the resident cat had something better than a chocolate for her pillow.
Aww. What was up with that? Is that a gift? Huh? For me? No, I don't think so. Oh, that's so sad. The little baby. Oh.
In spite of slowly perspiring varmints, our room at the B&B was gorgeous, as was the entire house. It had been built by the owners and was full of art painted by the husband. We did not even mind not getting to bring our bikes inside. Next week, we get to Colorado. We'll see you then.